Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. We took a couple weeks off. I was at State Fair. Brad was on the road, but we are back at it once again. And unfortunately, we're coming back at a time where there's not a lot of positives, shall we say, going on in these markets. We know we've seen some lower numbers in the box beef, but there is one positive there that we will talk about with this box beef trade. Also, it is first day of the Goldman Roll on this Thursday that we're recording this program. And as you see, Brad Kooima does join me. He is with Kooima and Varlick out of Sioux Center, Iowa. So let's talk about this Goldman Roll and what are you seeing?
Well, that's the everybody knows when it is. It's the fifth business day of the month prior, right? And it's one of the big index funds. I think as everybody's gotten so used to it and aware of it, I don't know that it has the big impact that it would have had before. And when you got overall open interest as low as it is, it probably is even less impactful. Now, the only thing I think that's worth mentioning though about it is, so remember that this is when these index funds roll their long position back to the next month. In other words, they'll be selling October and buying December now for 5 days. Today is the first day. So you'd say, well, I suppose by nature, one would think that December would be a little stronger and October would be a little weaker. Well, today, October was the strongest thing up here. How about that? I guess, there's an old saying that my friend Charlie used to say, when you whip the horse, you had better run. I thought it was kind of a little bit encouraging, impressive that October was able, even with this so-called Goldman Roll, to be the strongest thing up here today. So I thought that was kind of a little positive to take away today.
The other positive takeaway, even though box beef are down, you and I were talking about this during the Fontenelle Final Bell. Let's compare what we're seeing number-wise back to Mother's Day.
Sure. This is so careful who I throw under the bus here, right, Susan? But this is Packer talk. Right? I've heard this now for 2 months. Oh boy, this beef market's getting pretty sluggish, getting hard to sell meat. We got a recession and gas is $5, which it isn't anymore, by the way. On all this minutia of, trying to make you feel bad for the fact that they're only making $300 a head or something like that right now. For me, I'm a kind of a realist on this beef thing. And you bring up a great point. Mother's Day, historically, it's okay. It's early May. The weather's getting nice. We're going to cook out. We're going to take mom out for a steak. Memorial Day, Father's Day. There's a whole barrage of demand inspired, where that's why we go higher. Well, boxes then were 258. And even with the down day today, we're still at 260. So we're actually higher than what we were back then. All the way through the summer doldrums, hotter than I'll get out. Nobody's going to eat, right? We're going to all sit inside in the air conditioning. We're not going to grow, blah, blah, blah. I find it unacceptable for me to really buy into the story that there's something wrong with demand. And one of the things that I think you can use to maybe prove that theorem is, if there was really that much trouble, why would we be killing this much? I think you got a packer that's got meat sold. He's got good margins. He wants to kill. A very, very healthy atmosphere here for the industry, in my opinion.
Healthy atmosphere is what we need, especially with the struggles we've seen in this cattle market this whole summer.
Cost of gain, situation here where we, price-wise should have had a pretty profitable year. And I think while most of us are making a little money, the cost of gain worries were the reality of the cost of gain and the worry about the cost of gain moving forward is very real. So that's impactful to the cost price of feeder cattle, of course, and then also to the bottom line of anybody that feeds.
What are your thoughts as we go into this early fall? Harvest is underway. Feed stuff concerns out there for these guys?
Well, there sure is. And I talk to customers every day about it, worried about these regional imbalances and where there's a crop and where there isn't. Literally 30, 40, 50 miles apart, you can go from a 50 bushel yield here to a 220 bushel yield. And as you freight constraints and what it costs to haul corn, I worry that you're going to have another difficult year in terms of basis, much like we saw last year. So, I would encourage everybody to, pay some attention here. I'm a futures guy, right? So I like to use long futures to cover feed needs, but I'm even doing some stuff where I'm buying cash corn because I don't want to have basis risk on all the bushels I need to feed. Along with that weather talk is, keeping an eye on our friends in Texas, Kansas, and also some of the cow country in the north. Now, the northern part of this cow tier has had quite a bit of moisture. I think that enough so that we're going to trust that they're going to hold heifers this fall. we're going to start that cycle, of retention. In the last couple of weeks with all the moisture that they had in Texas, also I think is going to help. And if you look at I'm a nerd with this stuff, but the slaughter data comes out on Thursdays, right? And I looked through that today very carefully. So this is the fourth week in a row now where we've seen a significant drop in the cow kill. I think maybe we've hit the crossroads here where we're going to finally see less cow kill, finally see less females in the slaughter. And, year to date, we've had a record amount of females, heifer and cow slaughter as a percentage of the slaughter. So let's get back to killing these steers and heifers and get through them so that maybe by the time we get into October, November, we're at a different level, which is what I think, to answer your question. Finally, yeah, I think we're going to be quite a bit higher in the fourth quarter than we are now.
All right. Sounds good. Hopefully we have some good news to share with folks when we come back next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Brad Kooima has been joining us this week. As we always remind folks, commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss, not suitable to all investors. And that's been today's Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.